The most commercialized romance in history. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. Today I have a highly requested update on the Taylor Travis relationship. I actually have several videos about them from like when they first started dating, and ever since I posted those videos, which must have been 2 years ago, I guess at this point, I've had people constantly requesting that I do an update on my feelings about Taylor and Travis and what I think about their relationship and stuff like that. And I've hesitated before because I just felt like I didn't really want to give an update until something like big happened. And something big has happened. And before I get into this, my usual disclaimers. First of all, I don't know anybody in this video personally. I don't know what anybody is like behind closed doors or behind the scenes. I am simply basing my analysis on the public personas and the public images of these celebrities. And at the end of the day, like, this isn't really about the celebrities. It's actually about the lessons that we can take from these celebrities to bring into our own lives so we can have happier, healthier lives and relationships. And especially in this video, I also really want people to be more media literate and be more aware of the way that the media and celebrities are presenting you with a story that may or may not actually be true. And I also want to say, look, I like Taylor. Like, I like her music. I listen to her music. I'm excited about her new album. I don't even like orange. It's one of my least flattering colors, and I'm wearing orange in honor of Taylor. And I'm wearing reddish orange lipstick, which I don't think I've worn since my beauty blogging days, so this is kind of a nice throwback. But yes, I'm wearing orange in honor of Taylor's new album because she's in her orange era. And look, I'm excited for new music. I like Taylor's music. I listen to Taylor's music. And I know her music isn't for everybody. Like, you like her music, you don't like her music, your choice completely. I like her music. I don't dislike her. I am starting to get kind of annoyed with the commercialism of this and a lot of the deception and things like that, and that's kind of annoying me. I'm also very annoyed with the fact that she has unleashed the Kelce family on us, which I will get into. But generally speaking, I like Taylor. I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie per se because I just like her music. I don't obsess over every last aspect of her life or spend my time constantly trying to decode everything that she does, but I do like her music. So like, I'm not coming at this from a place of dislike of Taylor Swift, and that actually brings me into an interesting topic that's not Taylor specific. But just because you criticize a celebrity or a public figure, or you have a critique of them, or you have an opinion about them that may not be 100% positive, it doesn't automatically mean you hate them. I'm noticing this so much now with so many different celebrities. Like, if you criticize something that a celebrity does, and I get that sometimes it does come from hatred, but like, if you just critique a celebrity or have an opinion about a celebrity that may not be 100% positive, people on the internet jump to, why are you hating them? Why are you hating on them? What's with the hate? And it's like, you can critique someone and not hate them. Now, if you're just spewing hatred about somebody, then that's different. But like, I don't believe that there's anybody, like any celebrity or public figure, that is beyond criticism. I mean, I get criticized every day. I mean, like, when people will say something like, I can't believe you'd say something negative about, I don't know, Taylor and Travis or Beyonce and Jay-Z or something. Like, what if they heard this? Do you know how much their feelings would be hurt? Like, we're talking about billionaires. And look, I get it, billionaires are human. But I'm gonna tell you something. First time I posted about Taylor and Travis, I got a pretty good response on YouTube, but on TikTok, I got bombarded with hatred. Like, people were just, I mean, the stuff that people were saying about me was just like, I could not even believe that people would say that just because I thought that their favorite celebrity was in a fake relationship. And I got so much hatred. Now, I was not monetized on TikTok at that point, so all this engagement that I was getting, like, I wasn't getting compensated for it. Like, on YouTube, I would get compensated for it, but on TikTok, I wasn't getting any money for all that criticism. Now, I'm monetized on TikTok. If I get bombarded with a whole bunch of hatred, now I'm not saying that some of those comments don't sting. I'm not saying that sometimes people don't like hit you below the belt and it doesn't hurt. But at the end of the day, it's so much easier to deal with the internet criticism when you're actually bringing in some money. And for me, it's like, when I mean bringing in money, like, I'm like, oh, that comment made me 50 cents. Like, I'm not even talking about like making a huge chunk of money. So I guarantee you, like, if I criticize a celebrity who's a billionaire, you know, they might see a criticism and it might hurt because they're human. But those billions can be very comforting. Like, if the little bit of money that I get from like my social media eases the pain of like people saying really nasty things about me on the internet. I guarantee you that these celebrities, when they get criticized, they can look at their billions and they can definitely comfort themselves. Like, they really can. But not every criticism comes from a place of hatred. So if I'm critical of, you know, Taylor Swift in this video or any other celebrity in any video, it's not coming from hatred. I really don't care about these celebrities enough to hate them. Like, all I ask of Taylor Swift is that she make good music that I can listen to while I'm on the treadmill or while I'm in the car or something like that. Like, that's really all I ask from her. Like, I don't need anything else from her, and if that's what she's giving me, then we're good. You know what I mean? So when I critique some of these celebrities and their public images or like the media attention, or I talk about this stuff, it's not coming from hatred at all. Another common one I get is jealousy. I mentioned this when I made my Sydney Sweeney video of people that just go to, you're just jealous. I gotta be honest with you, and I'm gonna get into this in more detail, but I do not want Travis Kelce. I think Travis Kelce is such a red flag, him and Jason, and I'm gonna get into that more in this video. But like, I mean, I know he's a millionaire and I know he's like tall and whatever, and so I know he's got like a lot of the markers of like what women are looking for, but this man, I actually think he's a worse red flag than a lot of other guys because it's like a hidden red flag. He's a red flag that most women don't totally pick up on. So anyway, I'll get into that in this video. But I did actually sit down and I watched the whole New Heights podcast with Taylor and Travis. It's the only time I've watched their podcast like in entirety. I've only ever seen it in clips, so I don't really know what the usual format is or anything like that, so I don't know how the podcast is normally. But I did sit down and watch it, and I did pick up on a few things. Now, I will say I stand by everything that I've said in my previous videos about Taylor and Travis. I firmly still believe it's a PR relationship. And I know I have people that are coming back to some of my old videos about Taylor and Travis, and they're like, see, don't you feel silly that, you know, you said their relationship was just PR now that they've been together for 2 years and they're engaged? No, I don't, because I still believe the same thing that I believed back then. And one of the reasons I still believe that is because, for one, PR relationships, they involve engagement, they involve marriage, they even involve kids. But like, regardless of what's actually going on with Taylor and Travis behind the scenes, like every single thing that they have done has confirmed to me that they are a PR relationship. Because everything that they have done is exactly what somebody in a PR relationship would do. I mean, there are other ways they could have gone with this storyline. Everything that they are doing is just exactly what a couple would do if they were a PR relationship. Does that automatically mean that they have to be a PR relationship? No, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not in a PR relationship, maybe you wouldn't act so much like you were in a PR relationship, because everything that they're doing is clearly PR. There's too much about this whole engagement that is strategic for PR. And I just don't believe that two people who are truly in love would commercialize their relationship to the extent that Taylor and Travis are. You have to be so much more in love with money and fame to do things the way that they're doing them than you are with each other in order to actually have your engagement go this way. I just don't believe that anybody who's truly in love with another person, especially we're talking about two people who don't need the money, although I still argue that I think Travis wants to get to billionaire status, so I think he's strategically doing things to get him there. So I don't think he likes the fact that he's like the broke one in this relationship. But for two people who don't need the money, the fact that this whole engagement thing is a big cash grab is just, it's like alarm bells go off. Like, this is not real. I mean, there's so many things that come up, like the fact that, you know, football season is about to start, so, and most people believe that this is going to be Travis's last season. It's a big season because, like, they were the favorites going into the Super Bowl last year. Everyone thought they were going to three-peat, and I believe they're probably going to go to the Super Bowl this year, and the storyline is going to be like, ooh, that this is going to be their comeback, and they're going to try to come back from their loss last year. If I were to write the NFL like a story, like a movie, that's exactly how you would write it. The hero has a setback, and now they have to come back for another big win, and he's going to try to go out on a big win. Like, that's going to be the storyline the whole season. So he's going into potentially his final season in the NFL. That's starting up. It's very obvious that Taylor has a deal with the NFL. The fact that they're using her image so much, the fact that they are focused on their relationship so much, that they're actually making announcements about their relationship, which they don't do when any other player is dating another female celebrity. I mean, granted, she is one of the biggest celebrities that's dated an NFL player, but there's plenty of other female celebrities out there that have dated professional athletes, that have married professional athletes, and the NFL has not been this invested in them. Like, she clearly has a deal with the NFL, which makes sense because her Eras Tour, at least in the US, was mostly in NFL arenas, so I'm sure she had a deal going with them. There's that tie with them, like, doing the podcast, which, again, they're making a pile of money. Travis and Jason are making a pile of money off of Taylor being on that podcast. I knew eventually she'd go on that podcast and that it was going to make them a pile of money when she did go on that podcast. However, the fact that she did it to announce her new album, which again, Taylor's audience is not the same audience as the Kelce family. Football fans are not Taylor Swift fans, and Taylor Swift fans are not automatically football fans. Now there's overlap, of course there is, but like they're not really the same demographic. But interestingly enough, they're tying the demographics together, and now they're making the Kelce brothers, the NFL, Taylor Swift, they're overlapping their demographics. Also the fact that, again, Taylor's Instagram feed is all her new album, and then she, in the midst of promoting her new album, all of a sudden has this engagement photo that becomes the most liked Instagram photo of all time, coincidentally while she's releasing an album. And then less than 24 hours later, Travis basically announces his collaboration with American Eagle. And Taylor Swift, who has worked with Ralph Lauren in the past, is conveniently wearing a Ralph Lauren dress in her photo, which I really do believe they were trying to go for that. Like, there's other examples of this, but the thing I keep thinking of is like the Kate Middleton, like when Kate Middleton and William announced their engagement, she wore that blue dress, and like it was like a high-end dress, but it wasn't like so expensive that it was out of reach for, you know, the average person. That dress sold out like nobody's business. Taylor Swift is in the same kind of thing. Like, she's in a Ralph Lauren dress. That dress is gonna sell out everywhere. It's like high-end. It's like just expensive enough so that people believe that Taylor Swift would own it, but it's not so expensive that women wouldn't go out and actually invest in that dress because they want Taylor Swift's engagement dress. The whole collaboration thing is just happening so strategically, and it's making them and so many other people so much money that it's like, you cannot tell me that this is a real relationship. On no planet is two people who are truly in love gonna commercialize their relationship to this extent unless they love money more than they love each other. And I'm sure I'm missing some things too, but like these were just the things that kept coming to my mind. It was like they kept coming up, and it was like one PR thing after another, and people are telling me that like the NFL is sending out alerts, and I don't know if everybody here is like old enough to remember when like Tom Brady and Gisele first got together. And granted, I know there was a little bit more drama around that because Tom Brady had been dating Bridget Moynihan. They broke up. He's all of a sudden seen with Gisele, and then Bridget Moynihan announces that she's pregnant. So there was a little bit of like drama around the timelines of that happening and stuff like that. Basically, like, Bridget Moynihan was kind of the real life Natasha, and Tom Brady was big, and Gisele was kind of like a Brazilian Carrie Bradshaw kind of situation, whatever. So there was a little bit of drama around that, so I don't know if they probably didn't want to call as much attention to their relationship. People keep saying like, oh, well, Travis Kelce's like the best player. He's not the best tight end, let's be real, okay? But Tom Brady is arguably the best football player that's ever held a football. He was at one point dating and then married a woman who at the time was the #1 supermodel. She was the highest paid supermodel in the industry at the time. And their relationship did not get the attention that Taylor and Travis did. The NFL was not constantly showing Gisele. They were not like, I don't even know if she went to a lot of the games, but like they would show her sometimes like, oh, there's Gisele in the skybox, and she'd be like sitting there with a glass of wine in front of her looking bored. Like, the NFL was not promoting them nearly as much as they're promoting Taylor and Travis. It's just so obvious that there's a deal there with the NFL because like Taylor Swift is not letting the NFL use her image if she's not in control of it. Like, again, I know people always want to say like, why are we infantilizing her? It's like, well, then we also have to accept the fact that she's a shrewd businesswoman and she's not going to let the NFL use her image if it's not for strategic purposes. Now, at the end of the day, I do believe that Taylor and Travis have fooled people into believing that they're a real relationship because they're banking on, I think Taylor fans specifically, on really wanting to believe that there is a happily ever after. And I think they're banking on that. They're banking on a lot of young girls who just want to believe this fantasy of Taylor and Travis finding love. Let's suspend the conversation around a PR relationship and just pretend for a second that Taylor Swift, her life, her romances are real and have played out the way that, you know, it looks like they have based on what we see in the public, right? So she apparently had this 10-year kind of like flirtation, obsession thing going on with Matty Healy that was now revealed in her Tortured Poets Department album, which I stand by. I love the album, don't get me wrong. The fact that Taylor was able to keep that relationship with Matty Healy, that obsession and all the ties, and I've fallen down the Taylor Swift Matty Healy rabbit hole, and I gotta say, like, the lore goes back, like, it's deep. But yet, it was kind of hidden in plain sight. Like, supposedly people who were Matty Healy fans kind of knew what was going on, but like the fact that Taylor was able to kind of keep all of these connections to him kind of like under the radar from those of us that kind of just know who Taylor is and just listen to her music and don't get that deep into it, like, it proves that Taylor is able to keep relationships quiet and more secretive if she wants to. Like, she always has the option to do that, and when celebrities pretend that they can't, it's just because they're doing it because they want to pretend that they just have no privacy and they can't do things privately. But celebrities can keep things private if they want to keep things private. But anyway, so say these stories are real and Taylor has had this like kind of 10-year obsession with Matty Healy. Also involves her kind of being in a 6-year relationship with Joe Alwyn, which is a relationship that seems to have kind of slowly died off, and she was really obsessed with Matty Healy, and then she was so caught up in the Matty Healy romance, she finally gets together with him. They kind of go public, and then the world turns on them. It was a huge hoopla when it happened, and then their relationship ends to the point where she is so heartbroken she writes like a double album of some of the most gut-wrenching songs out there about how this guy was the love of her life and she saw a future with him and she thought that everything was going to work out and she thought he was the one, and then it just fell apart and he just ripped her guts out and everything. And then by the time the album comes out, she's somehow in a new relationship with this kind of, I mean, basically dumb jock. And we're supposed to believe that now all of a sudden she's totally over that and she's just found the love of her life in this football player. And if this whole thing is true, if all of these relationships and everything, if they're true, if they're all real and everything like that, then I 1000% believe that Travis Kelce is the rebound guy and that she's trying to get even with probably Matty Healy, maybe Joe, I don't know. She hasn't really shown a lot of like resentment towards him. It's really much more resentment towards Matty Healy, but like, he's engaged. He's also British. He's kind of a short, skinny guy. Taylor going for a Travis Kelce, Mr. All-American, because we know in all her music, she paints the All-American guy as like the football star. He's tall, he's got muscles. Again, looks like the guy who would beat you up in high school. I think that's a line from one of her songs. I don't know. I know people are gonna be like, do you really think she'd go to that extent to get even with an ex? I mean, she's financially benefiting from the whole Travis Kelce situation. A lot of big corporations are, as well as the Kelce family, as well as Taylor. Like, they're benefiting financially immensely. But it's also an FU to Matty Healy and to a lot of her other exes, like her choosing to at least publicly be with Travis Kelce and get engaged to him. And like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I very much appreciate pettiness. I'm like, Taylor Swift getting into a fake PR relationship with the guy that would make her ex, particularly her like kind of 10-year situationship guy who broke her heart, the kind of guy that would make him jealous and go through this whole big dramatic PR thing like just to make him miserable. Like, I kind of almost hope that that's what's happening, because like, I respect the pettiness. I respect that level of pettiness like you would not believe. I mean, not the fact that she's unleashed the Kelces on us, which again, I will get into why I hate that so much, but yeah, I respect that level of pettiness. I really do. Like, I would actually respect that more than the cash grab. Like, the fact that she's commercializing this, I have less respect for. If she's just doing this to get even with an ex, I'm like, I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I'll mention it now. Like, Taylor Swift and I have the same big three in astrology. So as much as I don't like the idea of getting into like a parasocial relationship with celebrities, and I do think that celebrities are really only showing us strategically like what they want us to see, I do sometimes, I think probably based on her music and the fact that we have very similar astrology charts, like there is a part of me that kind of feels like I get her, which is probably why I resonate with her music. I feel like our Scorpio risings like get that level of like wanting revenge. So while yes, I absolutely do believe that Taylor and Travis are a PR relationship, I'm gonna kind of suspend that belief right now, and I'm gonna step into what if they were a real relationship for a second, because I want to analyze their relationship, just the public image of it, because while I was watching the podcast, there were so many red flags that showed up to me. While I do believe the whole thing is fake and I believe it's PR, let's just put a pin in that for a second. Pretend they're a real relationship, because I want to get into some of the red flags, because honestly, when it comes to analyzing celebrity relationships for red flags, these celebrities are gonna be fine. Like, whatever happens, whatever the situation is. I mean, I do honestly really hope if Taylor and Travis get married that Taylor really has an ironclad prenup, because I absolutely believe that Travis Kelce is a gold digger, he's a clout chaser. Don't come for me with, he's a Super Bowl winner, he's a millionaire, whatever, it doesn't matter. She's got more than him. She's got more money, she's got more fame, she's world famous. Like, in other countries, like, our football isn't even football. I even remember when Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen were divorcing, and people were like, you realize in other parts of the world, like outside the US, like, Tom Brady is just Gisele Bundchen's husband. People in America don't realize that, like, our football stars, like our American football stars, are not internationally famous. Like, I mean, there are people obviously in other countries that will watch American football, but like, just being a football player is not gonna make you like world famous, iconic. Whereas Taylor Swift is world famous. She is iconic. And Travis Kelce is going for that. And Taylor Swift is totally his cash cow to get there. And all he has to do is have a baby with her, and she will be paying him child support for the rest of his life. And she'll probably get full custody of the kid. And she'll still have to pay him child support and alimony if they get married. I seriously hope that Taylor Swift has a sit-down conversation with Kelly Clarkson, and probably Reba McEntire too, before she goes through with this. I imagine Taylor's probably a shrewd businesswoman. While I do think this is PR, and I think she's in on it, I know people always bring up the conversation of like, why do people infantilize Taylor Swift? I do think she's in on this. I do think she's a shrewd businesswoman. However, I do want to comment that some of the most successful, intelligent, accomplished women in the world can still be fooled by a man. Because I think a lot of these women, sometimes they're even more vulnerable because they believe because of their success and accomplishments that like they can't be fooled. Sometimes they fall for the man that they want someone to be. And any woman is susceptible to this. Like, any woman, no matter how intelligent or how accomplished or anything a woman is, women are susceptible to this. Like, we all are. I'm not saying that that's definitely what's happening with Taylor. I do think Taylor's in on this, but I'm just saying we need to be really careful with this idea of like assuming that because a woman is intelligent and accomplished and successful that she can't be fooled by a man who is selling her a dream. Because for most of us women, no matter how smart and accomplished we are, when it comes to our heart and when it comes to love, we oftentimes make bad decisions. You know, I mean, that's just, unfortunately, I really do think it, I know people don't want to hear this, but I think for most women it's kind of wired in our DNA. Like, we want to believe in the romance, we want to believe in the story. But anyway, I do believe that regardless of what happens, Taylor and Travis will be fine. Taylor will probably end up paying Travis alimony and child support for the rest of his life, and we'll have to deal with the Kelce family for forever, but whatever. But like, they'll get out of whatever situation they get into. Like, if they get into problems, they can figure it out. They have enough money, it's fine. The main reason that I want to analyze Taylor and Travis's relationship for the red flags is for the regular people, because I unfortunately think there's too many women in particular that are seeing the Taylor-Travis relationship and are obviously ignoring the red flags. They're putting their relationship up on a pedestal, and my concern is that these women are not going to spot the red flags in their own life, and because they're not a billionaire like Taylor, they may get themselves in a situation that they can't get themselves out of. So I want to kind of, again, suspend reality right now and just talk about the red flags that I see in Taylor and Travis's relationship, particularly ones that I spotted in the New Heights podcast episode. Now, I saw so many people talking about the Taylor Swift New Heights podcast episode saying that, oh my god, Taylor and Travis had so much chemistry. And I watched it and I was like, if you saw that they had a lot of chemistry, you wanted to think that they had a lot of chemistry, which again is my concern with people who are so dedicated to this relationship being real. Is I think that they're seeing things that aren't there because they want to see them, which again, in Taylor and Travis, not a big deal. But if you go into your personal life and you're so blinded by what you want to see and you don't see reality, for regular people, we could get ourselves in a lot of trouble. that we don't have billions of dollars to get ourselves out of. If you saw chemistry there, it's because you wanted to see it. And I'm not saying that like they looked, 'cause I saw some other people that were like, oh, they had no chemistry. I don't necessarily think they had no chemistry. Like, it didn't seem like they were two people who like didn't like each other, or two people who like had never met before or anything. They didn't have like amazing chemistry by any means. It was a very neutral chemistry. They were sitting close to each other, they were holding hands, but like, I don't know, they didn't come across romantic to me at all. And we know Taylor did get emotional when she was talking about getting her master's back, and Travis did seem comforting. I don't really see that as necessarily like great chemistry. I think that's human, like that's a human comforting another human, and I do realize that for most men to comfort a woman usually means he wants something from her, because most men are not that comforting, but whole other subject. But I didn't think their chemistry was like necessarily bad, but it certainly wasn't great. However, I couldn't get past the fact that Taylor seemed to talk to Travis as if he was a child. Like, they have a mother-child dynamic thing. Like, she talks to him like he doesn't understand what she's talking about. She's clearly a lot smarter than he is, and I know there's going to be people that are going to be like, well, he went to college and she didn't. I think it took him like 10 years to get through college or something. He clearly just went to college because he had to in order to play football. He's not a scholar, and I know Taylor didn't go to college, but she does seem like somebody that spends time like reading the classics and things like that and whatever. So I do think that Taylor has more like independent education than Travis does, and I do think, I mean, I'm not saying that Taylor's some kind of rocket scientist or anything, but I do think that she has a certain level of intelligence as a woman, and I don't think Travis has much intelligence as a man. And I've seen some people talk about the Taylor Travis and the intellectual thing, and they even kind of poked fun at it in the podcast interview of like, oh, what do they talk about? Really, what do they talk about? Here's the thing about relationships. It's really important for people to get through their heads. For men in a relationship, their most basic need, like the thing that they need in a relationship more than anything else, is respect. And yes, they need that more than physical intimacy. I'm not saying they don't need physical intimacy, but they need respect. Like, a man needs to be respected in a relationship, or it's just not gonna work. Like, that men need that more than anything. Now, I do believe that men should have to earn that respect, and I also believe that men do not appreciate that respect if they don't have to earn it. I think men like getting respect without having to earn it because they feel like they got away with something. But at the end of the day, like, if a woman is giving a man respect that he didn't have to earn, he's gonna start questioning whether or not her judgment is accurate. It's not gonna feel genuine. Like, it's gonna feel like he can't trust her respect because she's just giving respect freely. And he's also gonna start to think, well, if I'm getting respect that easily, is she giving other men that respect that easily? Like, that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. However, I've seen some people think that it's cute that Taylor's obviously smarter than Travis. A woman who is smarter than the man that she's in a relationship with cannot respect him. She just can't do it. Like, she can kind of fake it, but like, she's never going to truly respect him enough in the relationship for what he needs to be satisfied in the relationship. I don't believe that women should get into relationships with men they don't respect, for one, and you're not going to be able to respect a man if he's not smarter than you. Now, I don't think that intelligence always, like, it's not just about book smarts. Like, I do think that there are people that can be intelligent in different ways. So if you have someone who is really intelligent in one area and then somebody else in the relationship is really intelligent in another area, like, you know, like Taylor Swift is obviously very into literature and reading and language, and like, that's her strength. She doesn't necessarily have to be in a relationship with somebody that has that same level of interest in literature or vocabulary or anything, but she has to feel like that man is intelligent enough that she can respect him, and has to be more intelligent than her in other areas to make up for that. It doesn't work when the woman is smarter than the man. Relationships just can't work because a woman can't respect a man who isn't smarter than her. And Travis doesn't really give any indication that he's smarter than her in any area. Case in point, Taylor Swift, we all know, is the master of Easter eggs. Like, she even joked on the podcast about like, it's kind of getting a little Zodiac killer. Like, she is a meticulous planner and organizer. When she was telling the story about how her and Travis got together, and the fact that the story was that, you know, Travis supposedly went to the Taylor Swift show at, you know, his home stadium, and that he just went in and like didn't make any plans as to how he could meet Taylor. He just thought like, oh, well, I know the elevator guy, I know the people at the stadium, I'll just go in, tell them who I am, and I'll just be able to get wherever I want. And she says in the New Heights podcast that like, he didn't even do any planning or anything. He just thought that this was gonna happen. Oh my God. The minute she said that, I was just like, girl, he is a walking red flag. Like, I always say, like, if a man doesn't have a plan, he doesn't need to be your man. Like, and for someone like her, who is clearly such a meticulous planner, and the fact that he supposedly wanted to meet her, that's the story, he wanted to meet her so bad, but he just like showed up at the stadium and was like, oh, I'll just throw my name around and I'm not gonna plan ahead or figure out how this is gonna happen logistically, I'm just gonna go with the flow. You don't want a man that goes with the flow. You want a man that has a plan. The idea that somebody like Taylor, who we know is a very meticulous planner, is with a guy who's just gonna like show up someplace and go with the flow, not gonna work. Because that dynamic, she's always gonna feel like the mother in the relationship, which is why the whole New Heights podcast, I was like, oh my God, she has to mother this man. Like, this is like a mother-child dynamic. Like, she talks to him like he's a child and he acts like a child. Like, this whole thing is like such a red flag, it's unbelievable. And it kills me that so many people are saying that like Travis and Jason are the height of masculinity, or they're the representation of healthy masculine. That drives me insane, because they're not. They're man children. Like, Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce are the epitome of man children. Like, next to the word man children in the dictionary should be a picture of the two of them. Like, they are such the epitome of man children. When Taylor was telling the story about getting her master's back and getting the phone call that she actually got her master's back, which was clearly something that was very important to her. It was a dream she'd had since she was a teenager, to own her master's and everything. And the fact that she's telling this story, and that this such an important moment in her life, she gets this call, she's so emotional, and she goes to her 35-year-old boyfriend who's playing video games with his friends he's had since the 4th grade to tell him about this monumental news. I'm like, girl, at that moment you should have been like, I got my master's back and I'm gonna break up with you and go find myself an adult man. He's playing video games. Like, he's 35 years old and he's playing video games with his friends he's had since 4th grade. He's a child. This is a child. Like, oh my God. I do know that Taylor Swift did say that one of Travis's green flags was that he's had the same friends since he was in the 4th grade. And she said it was because she believes that that means he's loyal. I do want to make a note about that, because if it's a green flag for her, that's fine. But I want to make a note for women thinking that that's a green flag. First of all, you have to factor in that may mean he's loyal, but it also might mean he's just loyal to the men in his life. Most men are rarely as loyal to women as they are to their male friends. Maybe it means he's loyal, but it probably just means he's loyal to men. It doesn't necessarily mean he's loyal in a romantic relationship. Also, I really do think that that's circumstantial. Like, it could mean that he's just loyal. It also could mean that he just hasn't grown up since he was in the 4th grade. In Travis's case, the fact that, again, he's sitting around playing video games with his friends he's had since the 4th grade while Taylor's getting this important news about her career, I'm like, I'm pretty certain this means that Travis hasn't grown up. Personally, I think that's a red flag. If Taylor wants to think it's a green flag, that's her choice, but I would highly recommend for women to see that as a red flag. Unless you meet his friends and his friends are people who have grown and developed and they are great people and you think that they're great friends and they are adult men that don't spend their time sitting around playing video games, then you can see it as a green flag. But I think that you have to be really careful about seeing it that way. It could mean that he's loyal to his friends. Sometimes men being that loyal to their friends can be a red flag too. It's like, if these guys are, if they're good guys, it could be a green flag. If they're terrible people and he's still loyal to them, then that's a big red flag. And also, it could also mean that maybe he's not totally grown up. I think it depends on the friendships. And this whole narrative about like Travis and Jason Kelce being like, oh, they're such a great version of masculinity or something. And look, I'm a huge advocate against like toxic masculinity. And I'm not necessarily saying that they're that. They're man children. They're not like healthy, masculine adult men. They're man children. I mean, the fact that Taylor was like essentially talking down to Travis the whole time because like she didn't think he understood the words that she was saying and stuff like that. But then also, when Taylor told the story about meeting Jason, I always saw that whole incident at the Buffalo game where Jason got so hammered and like jumped out of the skybox and was wasted and everything. I always saw that as a major red flag. And the fact that, you know, we know that Kylie was kind of trying to convince him to not act up and convince him to calm down. And then when Taylor told the story of meeting Jason and seeing Kylie say to Jason, like, can we not do that right now? Or can we not do this right now? And stuff. And the fact that Taylor thought it was funny. They all thought it was funny. That Taylor's like, I've heard her say that same thing to your 4-year-old. And they all thought it was funny. Like, we all think that this man-child behavior is so funny in our society. I'm sorry, that's not funny. If a woman has to talk to her grown adult husband the same way that she talks to her 4-year-old child, then she's got 2 children. Like, Kylie Kelce has 5 children. Can we just be real? And the fact that we act like that's so funny in our society, we need to stop normalizing this man-child behavior. I hear this all the time. People act like Jason Kelce's such a great dad and Travis Kelce's gonna be such a great dad. They are fun uncle energy. They are 1000% fun uncle energy. They're not father energy. These are not men that are going to be father figures. They're gonna be fun uncle figures. And as someone, look, I spent most of my adult life in stand-up comedy. I've been around fun uncle guys most of my life. They don't turn into great dads. They can be fun dads, but they're never gonna step up as like a father figure that has discipline and structure and is actually gonna like step up and like help be a co-parent with the mother of their kids. They're just gonna be another kid. And I'm telling you, Jason's like this already, you can tell, and Travis will absolutely be like this. Now granted, Taylor's got enough money, so they're just gonna hire nannies to raise their kid if they have one anyway, so it's not gonna matter really, but they are not gonna be great dads. They're fun uncles. It's just what they are. And when you marry a fun uncle and then have a kid with a fun uncle, you basically just have another kid. And it's so normalized in our society. Like, that dumb dad who's just another kid is such a normal trope in our society that it's almost like unusual if we see something different. But frankly, I don't think it's healthy. I think it's actually one of the problems we have in our society as to why we have so many man children and so many like boys that are not actually becoming adult grown men, is because they're being raised by man children. Like, we're so many generations back from having like actually like solid father figures that like this man child thing is just, it's getting out of hand. And I just, oh my god, the fact that we glorify Jason and Travis Kelce as being like real men when it's like they're children. They are large children. Like, yeah, they have height, they have muscles, they were successful at sports, so they were successful at playing a child's game for a living. They're man children. They are. And it's just, oh my god, the fact that people put them up on a pedestal as being like the height of masculinity, it's like, I think it's so sick. And look, I said this in another video, I'm gonna say this again. Taylor Swift is the new Ray J. Ray J slept with Kim, had a tape, it made Kim famous. Taylor Swift dates Travis Kelce, they get engaged, whatever. It's making the whole Kelce family famous. The Kelces are the new Kardashians. I stand by that statement. And frankly, as much as I like Taylor, I like her music, I will never forgive her for unleashing the Kelce family on the world. Like, they are everywhere. Like, they're so oversaturated. People are like, they were famous before Taylor. They were famous in a limited capacity. Like, there's levels to fame, okay? And they were famous to football fans. And like, I knew who they were. Like, I get people all the time that are like, just because you didn't know who they were, doesn't mean they weren't famous. I knew who they were. They would not be at this level of fame. And the way people are like, they're at the top of their game. They're some of the best, they're future Hall of Famers, whatever. And I know I'm probably biased because I'm a New Englander, but I'm sorry. Tom Brady is probably the greatest football player to ever carry a football. And he's not oversaturated to the point that the Kelce family is oversaturated. His entire family is not in your face all the time just because he's Tom Brady. So you cannot tell me that the Kelce family, the entire Kelce family, would not be in our faces all the time if Travis and Taylor hadn't gotten together. Like, I'm not saying that nobody would know who they were. Like, they probably would have a podcast, but like, being with Taylor completely expanded their entire audience. Like, 100%. Like, obviously the individual episode with Taylor, but like, you know that there's people that are tuning into that podcast just to see if they give like some kind of glimpse to Travis's life with Taylor. Like, they got a whole new audience and they got to a whole new level. But that whole family, like, I'm sorry, I thought Kylie was all like not comfortable with the spotlight and everything, and then all of a sudden she has a podcast? There is no way that Kylie Kelce would have a podcast if her brother-in-law was not dating Taylor Swift. It wouldn't happen. We would barely know who she is. Mama Kelce's everywhere. Papa Kelce's being interviewed all the time. Like, it's just, that family is everywhere. I really do think Papa Kelce is gonna be the one that's gonna blow this whole thing up. Because I listened to his interview about the engagement, and I really think that they did not want him to do that interview because he's the loose cannon in that situation. Like, he's gonna be the one that's gonna like stick his foot in his mouth in an interview or something. Like, he definitely needs more media training. But the fact that he let it slip that like he thought Taylor was getting antsy about the engagement, like she wanted to rush it, like that doesn't make Taylor look like she's desperate to have an engagement. Like, oh my god, like, now I know people love to put Jason Kelce and Kylie Kelce up on a pedestal. I know people aren't gonna like what I'm about to say, but I'm predicting this because there's too many signs there to ignore this. Jason Kelce's gonna have a cheating scandal. I guarantee you it's happening. There's gonna be a cheating scandal, because if he's not already cheating, he will be. There's too many clues, and I don't know if Kylie just doesn't care or what, but there's just too many clues. First of all, he's changing careers and he's moving from being a football player. I mean, he is obviously in the spotlight. He's still doing podcasts, he's still doing commentary and things like that, but shifts in careers, like retirement and moving from what you've dedicated your life to, for men, retirement, big shift for men, that's usually the time when they're most vulnerable to be unfaithful. Not always, but that's a very big time when that happens. He's lost a lot of weight, which I'm sure is a different training regimen and things like that, but he has trimmed down a lot. When I noticed he'd colored his hair, I was like, Then they mentioned on the podcast that he went for a wax. He's not doing that for Kylie, just saying. And let's be real, Jason Kelce is an alcoholic. Like, he's a functioning alcoholic, but he's an alcoholic. And I think Kylie's always known that. I mean, the story was that Kylie met him on Tinder, and when she went to meet him on their first date, he was blackout drunk and ended up begging her for a second chance for another date. So, like, he's been an alcoholic. He also needs to be the center of attention all the time. And he's going out to all these events. You can see him. He's always walking around. Like, would he do some event where he, like, showed up in a Speedo or something like that? He's getting drunk at all these events. He needs the attention, he needs the validation. Look, I was a stand-up comic for 15 years. I have known so many Jason Kelces in my day. The guys that would go out, they would get drunk, they needed attention, they needed validation all the time. None of them were faithful to their wives. There is no way that he is faithful. And it's interesting because I keep seeing articles now talking about, like, Jason getting a vasectomy because they don't want to have any more kids and things like that. I suspect it's probably because they don't want there to be an accident while he's out with other people. I mean, maybe because of their association with Taylor, they'll hide it, but I think there's gonna be a cheating scandal at some point. Someone's gonna come forward, and I think Kylie's gonna stay with him. Because here's the thing, Kylie shows up on their first date, and the fact that so many people put this up on a pedestal that, like, oh my god, she went on a Tinder date and met this guy, and, like, now she's married to an NFL player, and, like, Taylor Swift's gonna be her sister-in-law. She showed up to the first date and this guy was blackout drunk. Like, no woman should ever give that man another chance. And I don't like the narrative, because for most women, if you show up on a date and a man is blackout drunk, you are not gonna end up with a millionaire husband and a famous sister-in-law. That's not gonna happen for you. So we need to nip that fantasy in the bud. Like, if you show up on a date, a man is blackout drunk, I don't care if he begs you for a second chance, you do not give that man a second chance. And this is why I also suspect that Jason's probably got some stuff going on the side, is because if you as a woman forgive a man for screwing up once, he will continue to screw up because he knows he can get away with it. The only thing that keeps most men behaving like normal, civilized human beings is if they know there's consequences if they screw up. If you don't give a man consequences for screwing up, he will keep screwing up. If you allow a behavior from a man once, he will continue to do it. Even if he swears up and down that he won't, he will continue to do it. So the fact that she's already forgiven him for that instance alone, and that's just what we know about, I can guarantee you he's gonna continue to screw up. He's gonna continue to act the way he's acting, and I would be shocked if he was faithful. And I also predict, because I know everybody wants to think Kylie Kelce's like a girl's girl, I predict that when the cheating scandal comes out, she's gonna blame the woman, and they're gonna turn the narrative around to it being her fault so that Jason looks like the innocent one in the whole situation. And it's gonna become this whole, oh, she's the side chick and she knew what happened. Like, that's how they're gonna flip it. I don't wish anything bad on anybody. I don't. I'm reading the red flags, and that marriage has so many like, it is not the happy marriage that everybody is trying to pretend. Like, Kylie has a 5th child in Jason, and all the signs are glaring that there is no way that that man is actually, like, a stand-up faithful guy. Like, there's too many signs going on here. There's other stuff going on there. And I mean, look, there's 4 kids now in the situation, and I don't want anything bad to happen, you know, to their marriage because of those kids, but, like, I don't see good things happening. They are not a relationship we should be putting up on a pedestal. There's too many red flags there, and the number of women that I see that are kind of like putting this up on a pedestal, and I get that it probably is relatable to a lot of women. There are probably a lot of women who are married to Jason Kelce types who are drunks and constantly need to be the center of attention and are basically just man children and things like that. And so there's probably a lot of women that relate to them. Not a relationship we should be putting up on a pedestal. Not at all. Now, when it comes to Taylor and Travis, suspending my PR theory and pretending their relationship is real, do I think that Travis is faithful to Taylor? Maybe now, because all eyes are on him. I could totally see Taylor, like, I mean, again, I think that they're PR, so I could totally see her kind of being like, all right, you can do your thing, I'll do my thing, but like, don't embarrass me. He probably will embarrass her at some point, but he might not now because she's his cash cow, so he's gotta be on his best behavior. But look, here's the thing. Travis has a type, and Taylor's not it. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's just about race. Like, I think if a man has dated a woman who is a type, maybe it's not a race, maybe it's a certain look, or maybe it's a certain energy or something, but there's something very consistent about the women that he's dated, and then all of a sudden he starts dating a woman who is like nothing like that type, and that's the one he marries. The woman that he decides to marry, I think she needs to be on alert. Now, with women, I think it's a little bit different, because I think for women, I think women are less likely to have like a specific type when it comes to looks and things like that, and I think women are often, they're not really driven by a man's looks as much as men are driven by a woman's looks. So I think with women it's a little bit different, but for men, like if a man has exclusively dated a certain type of woman, or a certain look, or even a certain race, and then all of a sudden the woman that he chooses is somebody different, I find it hard to believe that he isn't always going to be looking to that other type as what he really wants. I honestly think that Travis Kelce's dating history is one of the things that seals the deal for me as to this being a PR relationship, because I totally believe that Travis Kelce picked Taylor Swift, who is completely outside his typical type, because it fit the image that he wanted to sell to the public. Because I mean, obviously he's mostly been in interracial relationships with very beautiful black women, mind you, like stunning women, and I think Taylor's beautiful too. Like, I'm not knocking the appearance of any of the women that we're talking about here. However, the fact that for so long, when he was kind of like just a football celebrity, he was in interracial relationships, and then even like pre-Taylor, there were stories that, you know, his PR people were kind of trying to fix him up with Megan Thee Stallion and stuff. I kind of feel like I would have bought them as a real couple a little bit more. Travis, he's looking for superstardom. His PR team has already admitted that they're trying to make him into the next The Rock. And I think he saw how the world was taking to Jason and Kylie and all their perfect little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids. And I think Travis was like, ooh, if I'm gonna settle down and get serious with a woman and like have a family and stuff, I need it to be the all-American family. And I think that that's why he targeted Taylor, and of course targeted like the most famous pop star in the world and arguably one of the most famous celebrities in the world, who was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, you know, all-American girl to settle down and marry, because that was gonna suit the image. It's strange to me because I think at my age, I find it weird. Interracial relationships are actually, I feel like, more taboo nowadays than they used to be, which is weird. I mean, I kind of feel like we went through a time period in pop culture history, I don't know, it's like an elder millennial. I kind of feel like, you know, we went through the hide and seal era and stuff like that. It was totally normalized, but now everything has become so black and white, and it kind of feels like Travis, I think it's pretty obvious he prefers black women. And I mean, granted, he's pulled some very beautiful black women, but I think he wanted the image of the all-American family, so he picked the all-American looking girl in the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Taylor Swift to get that all-American family. I think that because that's kind of the image that he was going for right now. If this was a different time period, it might be different. I also feel like, I know people are gonna say this is a stretch, but I also feel like the way that some people are reacting to the Ciara Russell Wilson relationship, I mean, even though, again, they're a black couple, I think that that has maybe Travis or his PR team or whatever kind of thinking like, ooh, we don't want to even attempt to go down that road. Now, again, I don't see women complaining about Ciara and Russell Wilson. It's men, and it's a certain type of men. I don't see anything wrong with their relationship. I think they look like a great couple. I hope they're happy. I wish the best for both of them. I think the fact that he stepped up as a father to a child that wasn't his, I think is very admirable. Like, I'm not saying anything negative about them. However, their relationship is controversial in some circles, particularly in male circles, and I don't think that Travis or his PR people or people making the decisions for him about his image, I don't think that they even want to touch the possibility that that image could get onto Travis. Like, I think that they want to play it so safe with him as far as the image. And like, if he got with Megan Thee Stallion, it's not like, I mean, she doesn't already have kids. I think that a Travis, like from a strategic point of view, would definitely avoid a woman that already had kids, because he did not want the Russell Wilson connection, because that does hinder his male audience. It would endear him with a female audience, but he doesn't want to lose his male audience. However, I don't know, I can't help but think that there's a trajectory there. Like, it was safer for him to marry a white woman, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and for that to be the image of the family. He saw how well that image was working with his brother, and I think that that's, and frankly, I mean, I gotta be honest, I mean, I think it's kind of sleazy that you would spend so many years dating black women, obviously with no intention of settling down and being serious with them, and then all of a sudden you meet a white woman and you're like, okay, now I'm getting married to be serious. And honestly, I would say that with any kind of like racial combination or anything. Don't date a certain race exclusively because you want to have fun with them, but then when you actually want to get married and settle down, you pick someone of a different race. It's like, well, so you were basically just using the women of this other race. And this goes for what any combination of race we're going for here. I personally don't think it makes him look good, and I say this as a white woman, I don't think it makes him look good that it was like, oh, well, he wanted to have his fun times with black women, but he's gonna actually settle down and marry a white woman. Like, even as a white woman, I'm offended by that, because I'm like, oh, so we're basically just the look for you. But you know that that's not his true preference, because that's not obviously what he was drawn to before he was at this level of fame. Even if he doesn't actually cheat, like, he's still gonna be fantasizing about his actual type. I mean, it does go, I have a lot of videos talking about kind of like the good girl, bad girl thing, or like the wife mistress kind of dichotomy. I think you could very easily say that like Travis has that situation where it's like, oh, white women are the wife type, but the black women are the mistress type, which, I mean, I think both white and black women should be offended by that personally. It, you know, it's his choice, but, you know, to me, that is just another layer of why I believe that their relationship is not real. I think it's been selected for a specific image. Like for Taylor, she gets the all-American football player, which kind of like is a big FU to her exes, and also kind of, you know, endears her from spending all of her time with like the blokes on the benches, and now she's with the all-American guy. Kind of reminds America that she's all-American. She's been spending so much time with the British guys. And for Travis, you know, he gets the kind of blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman that can, you know, potentially give him kind of like the perfect family that people think that his brother has. It's all strategic and it's all smoke and mirrors. There's probably so much more I could say, and if you guys want me to do another video, maybe I'll do another one when her album releases, although I've already used my only orange outfit. But I mean, I am excited about her album, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want Taylor to be miserable, because like I don't wish misery on anyone, but like I don't really like when Taylor does like happy love songs. I like when she does like heart-wrenching heartbreak songs. I'm not necessarily saying that I want her to be unhappy. I have heard people say like, oh my god, when Taylor gets married we won't get any like miserable songs or something like that. I'm like, you think when she gets married she won't be miserable? Like, obviously you've never been married before. And frankly, I gotta be honest, if they do get married, her divorce album's gonna be amazing. Like a Taylor Swift divorce album, like that I'm here for. Like, I'm on board for that, so get ready, people. But yeah, this is not a happily ever after. And again, they'll be fine. They're celebrities, you know, they'll work it out, whatever happens. Travis will be set for life. He'll get alimony and child support, and he'll be set. But like, I worry so much about the women that are seeing Taylor and Travis, even Kylie and Jason, and putting these relationships up on a pedestal and ignoring the blatantly obvious red flags. Because to me, if people are ignoring the red flags in the Taylor-Travis relationship, especially with how people like overanalyze every little thing, like every little number that Taylor mentions or every little reference, people are like overanalyzing it. Like, they're looking at this stuff so deeply, but they're not seeing the glaringly obvious red flags in their relationship. For them, it's fine. They're a millionaire and a billionaire. They're fine. It worries me that there are so many people in the world that see their relationship and obviously have the attention skills to pay attention to every little detail, but they're totally ignoring all the red flags in the relationship. And what that says to me is that I think a lot of these women, unfortunately, are gonna overlook the red flags in their own relationship and are not gonna have, you know, the money and the PR team and everything like Taylor has to like get them out of these relationships when they fall apart. And my goal in all of this, in making these videos and everything, like my goal is I want women to make smart decisions with their relationships. I want them to be able to spot red flags. I want people to be in healthy, happy relationships if they choose to be, or if they choose to not be in a relationship, that they can be happy single. Like, I want people to be aware of that these celebrities are selling you a story, they're selling you a narrative. What they're telling you is not true. It's just what they want you to see. I want you to be aware of that, and I also want you to not put these relationships up on a pedestal to the point where you ignore warning signs in your own personal life because you're like, oh, this guy is my Travis, or I want a Travis. So some tall guy with muscles walks into your life and he's a walking red flag, but you're like, oh my God, he's my Travis. You know what I mean? And you end up in a relationship that could potentially be, I mean, it could either be miserable or it could be really bad. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to have happy, healthy lives and relationships. And I do think that, unfortunately, when we get obsessed with these celebrity relationships and stuff, I mean, it does affect us, and it kind of boggles my mind sometimes when I interact with people online, like how easily people are manipulated by the media. Like, I know a lot of people don't want to admit that they can be this easily manipulated by the media, but it never ceases to amaze me how easily people can be manipulated by the media. So these are my updated thoughts on the Taylor Travis relationship. I'll do another video if something else happens, or if you guys want me to, or whatever, let me know. If you have any thoughts on this relationship, please keep it kind and respectful. I accept differences of opinion, I absolutely do. I just ask that you be respectful. So, you know, if you have any thoughts on Taylor and Travis or any other video topics or anything like that, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure you subscribe to my channel. Honestly, any engagement on this channel really does help to boost it in the algorithm so more people can get this message. If you would like to heal your pick-me energy so you don't end up in a relationship with a guy who's basically just using you for fame and attention, I highly recommend you check out my guided journals, the Recovering Pick Me Girl guided journal and the Dark Feminine Energy guided journal. They're both available on Amazon. Details in the description box below, along with links to all my social media accounts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.